So, hi, I'm Mathilde Bichet, and we're back for another episode of How I Got In and How I Got My First Job. So, if you could please introduce yourself to the audience and let us know your name, where you're currently residing, and what do you do for a living?
Hi, my name is Garcia. I'm from Queens, New York, Corona to be specific. I'm currently a paraprofessional for the Department of Education. I'm hoping to, within the next year, graduate with my master's in school counseling and then move on to better endeavors.
So, viewers get to know a little more about your family background. Maybe where did you go to school? Did you go to public, private school? And what was that like?
Yeah, throughout my, childhood and all throughout my education experience was thoroughly through the public system. My mom does work in a school, so I've always had like that side of pressure of knowing I had to get good grades, and she kind of knew like whenever I get home that I had to do my homework and stuff like that. Growing up, I kind of enjoyed it. I guess it wasn't until maybe like seventh, eighth grade where I realized, oh, school is actually very fun for me. I like going. I saw all my friends. I would come home instead of like the typical coming home and doing your homework as soon as you get home. Never kind of did that, never understood why people did that. I was more of the let's go out and play and then come home like 6, 7 in the afternoon and then like get down and actually do the book stuff. But yeah, I did a lot of I enjoyed school. I went to public school, I went to PS4 14 for elementary, then for middle school I went to IS 61, that's both in Corona, New York, and then for high school, I went to Long Island City High School, which is probably one of my best experiences there, even though like freshman year was like terrible, but sophomore, junior, and senior year, it was like amazing. And I'm actually very grateful that I did the public school thing, even though like my mom did tell me that afterthought that she did want to have my brother enrolled into like private school. And then for whatever the reason, he didn't want to go. And then she was like, just follow the public route with me. And well, I turned out like I loved it. So I don't even blame her for doing it.
Was college something that was on your mind since you were in high school? Was it something your parents wanted? Did you want to do it?
Kind of always had college on my mind. I didn't think there was like a different route. I say this as a joke to everyone that I have to study and I have to be able to learn something because I have no talent. And a lot of people would just look at me wrong, like, no, you know how to do something. And in theory, without like my mom, I probably don't know how to do anything. So my thing was I had to get into college. I had to learn how to do something to be able to then take whatever I learned and then establish it somewhere else and develop a career for myself. So growing up, I guess the first thought that I really had about college would be high school. I knew I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted to study, none of that. My mom had a few talks with me, knowing that like it was kind of I already knew I had to go, so she didn't necessarily tell me, "Oh, you have to do this. You don't have any other option." None of that. It was more of a, if you're going good, we'll find a way to pay for it, stuff like that.
Did your mom help you with the application process, or did you receive mostly help from your school counselors, or maybe you did it yourself because you had someone do it before you? So how did that go?
My mom had an idea of some sort in terms of she went to school here when she first got to the country. So she knew there were programs that provided like financial aid and stuff. So that's just about what she knew. She didn't really know nothing about the process, but she did know like, oh, we can receive aid if we request it. And like she knew there was like steps to be made, but I didn't really know how to do that. In high school, I didn't know none of my school counselors. My school was fairly big. It had like 5,000 students. So we had like 12 school counselors. And apart from those 12 school counselors, we had like another like few that were like college advisors who helped us along that process. I'll be the first to say I never really stepped into their office up until application time. They didn't really help all that much. To be fair, I don't really blame them. The caseload was probably enormous with that many amount of students. So when I went through the process, it was fairly difficult at one point because I didn't know who to turn to. My brothers had went to college, but even then, their age difference is so like big. Like they're 9 and 12 years older than me. So it's like I'm pretty much on my own here. I turned to my friends, asking them like, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do that?" And I'll be the first to say I slacked off up until my college baseball, not my college, my high school baseball coach, pretty much like instilled in us that hey, applications are coming up. Make sure you guys are doing this, you guys are doing that. So he was a big help up until the journey of getting into college and even after.
What was the process like making your college list or like choosing what major you might want to do?
College list was, I guess it was like weird in a sense because when I started thinking about it, I knew like we had CUNYs, we had SUNYs, and I knew like out of state colleges wasn't on the table just because unless I got a scholarship, there was just no way I would be able to afford any of that. Even though like looking back, I see the experiences my friends had and they look like they had like a blast. So I'm like kind of jealous in a sense. But when it comes down to it, I looked at CUNYs and I said easily accessible. I can make it there. I can pay it off if I have to, and my grades are good enough to get in, right? When I went through CUNY, I was just like, man, picking random schools. I'll be the first to say that I didn't really have an idea where I want to go. So I was just picking off random schools to apply to. And then when it came to SUNYs, I remember I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was like, I have to get away as far as possible, but I don't know where to go. So I had the same idea, but like I said before, I don't really know how to do anything on my own. So I was there like, I don't really know how I can do this. I'll try it out, but let me apply just in case, right? But I didn't know how to do it. So I kind of relied on my friend for that. And I ended up applying to like Plattsburgh, like New Paltz, Oswego, and like a couple of schools up there. I forgot them all. I did the CUNY route and I got accepted to, I forgot what SUNY I got accepted to. I got accepted to like one of the four I chose, but it was like for accounting or something. And I was not trying to do any of that. I'll be like, after I got accepted, I was like, not what I want to do. The Cuny acceptance, I got accepted to like College of Staten Island, which is where I went, and a few other schools. And as soon as I got the CSI acceptance, I was like, wait, this is where I have to go. Like it's far, but not far enough. So like, if I want to dorm, I can dorm there and still be relatively close to home. That if I need something, I can get on a boat and come back. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up accepting the CSI acceptance letter, and I ended up going to the College of Staten Island.
So could you tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your baseball coach? He was a mentor to you and he helped you get into college. So just delve more into that and talk about what kind of impact he had on your life.
Yeah, so I didn't even want to try out for the baseball team in high school, and my friend got me to do it, and it was probably one of the best experiences I ever did. But after I got in, I'll be the first to say I'm not even a good player. I was relatively there just for like team building and being like happy all the time and helping out and stuff. And I guess it resonated with my coach because he always felt like I was willing to do anything for the team base, and I was like team oriented, and I didn't mind like sitting on a bench or doing anything like that. So even throughout the game, like he would ask me for like input about stuff. He like considered it. And then he took what we learned during games and like the relationship we had and turned it into more of a personal relationship in terms of school based. He was one of like our head deans. The baseball team got a lot, I got away with a lot of things. I'll be the first to say. Every time he would see us in the hallway, he would be like, make sure you guys get into the classroom. And like they drove me nuts because they would chase me around and he would be the first to tell me like, hey, like it's not about following directions as a whole. It's more about you got to do certain things to make sure your long run in the race, when you get to the finish line, it's wherever you want it to be. I credit him a lot for it because like even now I'm not at the finish line per se, but I'm a whole lot closer. And it's because of the relationship I have with him. Like the fact that he took the time to like have conversations with me about anything, he would tell us like if there was anything on our minds to speak up about him. He also, even after I graduated, he was one of the first people to congratulate me. He was there for our graduation. And then when I got into college, he texted us and it was like the whole team thing. He would text us just to make sure how we were doing, make sure we were keeping our heads above water. He maintained that relationship. And that went a long way of me like being, oh, okay. At first, I didn't consider him much of a mentor. I'll be the first to say I didn't think he meant so much in my life up until afterwards where I'm like, people need someone to help. And I didn't have anyone to help me, but I had someone who to guide me through it and to make sure my head was always above water. And even now, like if I ever need anything to say, he's like a text message away, a phone call away. And it's literally about anything. I could text him about school. I could text him about life, like a game, or a joke, anything. He's open to anything and he's always willing to respond. And I think that's like an amazing thing that I got from high school. And I know many people like to go back into their high schools and see like their favorite teachers. And I'll be the first to say I don't have many of those, but I have him that I can always rely on. Like I want to go back to this school just to see him. best things I ever got from high school, other than my education, was the relationship I had with him and the experiences I had with my teammates throughout high school.
So thank you so much, Gary, for being on the show today. And I hope you all enjoyed listening, and please tune in for further episodes.